Let's discuss all of this with Joe Siracusa. He's a professor of security and diplomacy at Curtin University and is joining us from Washington, D.C. Joe, always good to speak to you. So Joe Biden making these new announcements, but how revolutionary are these migration plans?
Well, they're not very revolutionary at all. They are sort of a stopgap measure. He wants to stop it at its source by helping the nations where the refugees go first before they come to the United States. And then he has to stop. He has to do something to staunch the flow of refugees at the border. Now, about 1.7 million refugees have come in the last year, illegal aliens and or asylum seekers, and 234,000 last month. So we've reached the condition where the Homeland Security can't deal with them, nor can the adjacent or the neighboring communities that they go into. So the president's bright idea is to move them from the border, to ship them out to Los Angeles and Albuquerque and El Paso and other American cities where they can take shelter. Recently, in the last week or so, Homeland Security has reached the end of their tether, and they're just simply taking people to different locations and letting them go at the bus stops. Just going onto the American streets. This is intolerable. You can't have these many people entering the country, even if you wanted them. It can't be. It has to be done in an orderly fashion, because where will they go and what will they do? So, I've been talking to people here in Washington, and there's no doubt about it that along with inflation and crime and January 6th, I mean, immigration is one of the top 4 policies that have been exercised in American minds, and they're at wit's end to do anything about this. Now, Trump didn't have an answer to this, nor did the president before him, and it's simply out of control. You imagine a country where people just poured across the border. I mean, and the volunteers have dried up, the NGOs and the churches and other peoples.
I'd just like to ask, these migration plans that the U.S. wants to put in place, can they really be effective when some of the leaders of the key countries that they want to work with weren't even in attendance at the summit because they were either not invited because they've been sanctioned by Washington, or like the Mexican president who boycotted the event because nations like Cuba and Venezuela weren't invited?
Well, I'll tell you what, if it looks stupid, it's because it is stupid. I mean, these are the countries that should be in the room when you're just discussing some kind of mitigation or alleviation plan, and they weren't in the room at all. I mean, it's like talking to the wall. You're quite right. It doesn't make any sense. And it's like clapping with one hand. It just doesn't go anywhere. I think the president is bankrupt on this policy here. He doesn't quite know what to do with it. And, you know, his days are filled with Ukraine and China and the midterm elections and inflation, which is about 9% here. I mean, there's a lot of things on his plate, and I don't think he's given as much attention to immigration as he should have. And I think his advisors have let him down, particularly the people who are in charge of customs and border crossings and the like. And, you know, the problem has just gotten too big. So I think he's thrown a Band-Aid at it. It isn't going to work. He's taking claim for sort of a revolutionary approach. And it is revolutionary in this sense. He's asking all Latin American neighbors to be involved in this, to take responsibility. But at the end of the day, they're on America's doorstep, and they're coming through America's door, and America's not prepared to take them on. You know, other countries have taken on millions of people in recent months. So this is a major problem. As the UN likes to say, we have about 25 million people on the move every day, and they're looking for security and work and all the rest of it. And so we have a major problem. And if we weren't at war with Ukraine and had other problems, I suppose we can give it the attention it deserves. But it's one of these things that we've ignored at our own peril for too long with the policy of benign neglect. That is, we hoped it would get better if we didn't pay attention to it. Well, it's gotten worse, and Biden now has to deal.
Yeah, it's certainly an issue that is not going to go away anytime soon. Joe Siracusa, thank you so much.
Thank you.